The Irish Nation, we are back to preview the Notre Dame versus Purdue matchup. Hopefully, a cathartic moment for Notre Dame to get into the win column. Mike, I'm here in South Bend getting ready for the game, staying with my friends Pat and Liz, and got a bunch of family coming in town. So I know this is more of a lopsided matchup. Notre Dame's heavily favored in this one. I went real deep in the research, so gonna largely cover this show and let you moderate it. But should we just dive right in?
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll just give like a little quick oversight into Purdue in a nutshell. They last year SP plus were 121, or so that for reference, that's 16 points worse than the national average. This year, SP plus is number 78. So from a ranking standpoint, obviously that's a big improvement, and then from a rating standpoint, pretty substantial as well. Only 3 points worse than the national average is what that says. So that's almost a 2 touchdown improvement. For context, Notre Dame last year versus the national average in SP plus, we were plus 25. We've regressed so far this year, plus 15. So, from an advanced metric standpoint, that would imply that this would be I don't want to say tighter game than it was last year, because I think it's still expected to be, fairly lopsided. But I would say that like that large gap has certainly narrowed. And with that, I'll make a caveat. It's still very early. There are only 2 games of data points, and a lot of these advanced metrics, they don't get reliable and accurate until you have 5 or 6 data points for everyone. So just saying all that to kind of set the framework, set the stage for all this. Brett, you did a deep dive on all this. So with that, I'm gonna kick it over to you, and I think we should start with the offense, because that was the issue last year, and it seems like it's still the issue for them this year.
Yeah, definitely. It really starts with the quarterback room here. This is a situation where they didn't like their quarterback room last year. Hudson Card was a highly touted transfer out of Texas. Didn't really pan out. They had a guy by the name of Ryan Brown as a backup. They said, you know what, Ryan, like you're probably not the guy. We're going to go to the portal. So Ryan Brown transfers to UNC. They bring in a journeyman multi-transfer guy from Charlotte. They bring in another transfer from Washington State, and then they had a heralded four-ish star recruit. So you kind of had 3 quarterbacks in their room. None of them won the job in the spring. The coaches basically said, we don't like where the quarterback room is at. So they call Ryan Brown back, who left the program for UNC, and said, hey, do you want to be our starter? And so Ryan Brown retransfers in the spring portal window. Not exactly a vote of confidence, and you're seeing that in his play. They actually put up 305 yards passing against USC, but he's thrown 3 interceptions in that game, really doomed them in a loss. So far, he almost has as many interceptions as touchdowns. I'm not saying they're not dangerous, they're not improved. I think he's got some weapons around him, but this is not a high functioning offense, and it starts at the quarterback position. It seems like this is going to be a great opportunity here for Notre Dame secondary to hit the reset button. The only caveat is outside of protecting the football, has been pretty efficient, like a 78% adjusted completion percentage. Now they've been plagued with a lot of drops, but he's been efficient in getting the ball out, but is just prone to big mistakes and just isn't that, game changing quarterback that I think they were hoping to have when they brought in a lot of transfers in the spring.
What about the rest of the offense? Any key names to call out there?
Yeah, real balanced at wide receiver. They've got 4 different guys here getting involved early. I think it's important to caveat when you look at their stats. They've gone up against USC, bad defense, Southern Illinois, and Ball State. So they certainly haven't seen a defense of Notre Dame's caliber, but 4 different guys are getting involved. Armad Branch is averaging over 23 yards per catch. So he's leading that really balanced attack. And then I just got to say it, maybe my favorite name in all of college football, Nitro Tuggle, is expected to be one of their top wideouts this year. He's been real active early, so excited to hear Nitro Tuggle coming over the PA system in this one. And then in the running game, this is a place they've got a veteran senior. He's been in the program for a while, Devin Mockabee. They feed him a lot. He's averaging 20 carries a game. it's not the most efficient. It's not on Maccabee. He's really only getting about a point 0.7 yard per carry push from his offensive line. He's averaging 4 yards per carry, doing almost all of that himself. So those are the names to watch out for. But I think it really is just a testament. They're not getting a big push up front. They got struggles at quarterback play. They're actually allowing a 36% pressure rate, resulting in 7 sacks, again, against some pretty weak competition. So the rest of the offense, I think, okay at the skill positions, but just not there from a foundation perspective up front. Feels like a really favorable matchup for Notre Dame's defensive line, particularly. This is not Miami. This is not Texas A&M's offensive line walking into Notre Dame on Saturday.
Okay. Moving to the other side of the ball, this is the quote unquote strength of the team, although I feel like that might be overstating it a bit. It's per SP Plus. They still only rank as the 70th defense. And look, like, one call out I'll make before I kick it back over to you is that there's been quite a bit of transfer portal activity. So, I think it seems like that's a key theme. Brett, you want to dive deep into the defense and tell us like what are all the key things that we should be aware of for this Purdue defense as we go into this game?
Absolutely. At each level of the defense, that's going to be a theme in the transfer portal. They essentially rebuilt the entire defensive line. They're bringing in backups from Auburn and Michigan and starters from Akron and Bowling Green. So, not blue chip talent. Like, they're not pulling the best guys out of the portal, but look, like they got a couple guys coming in that, were good enough to make it at Auburn and Michigan, or, at least be in that program. 11 sacks through 3 games. So, that is, where they're tipping their hat. I think they're doing it without blitzing a lot. They only blitzed USC 15% of the time. So they're trying to do it in coverage. A theme in there that I'd like to say is it's a little bit of a bend, don't break, or at least that's what they're not trying to go like change the game, blitzing 60% of the time. But through a combination of coverage and their front four, getting after the quarterback. Again, Southern Illinois, Ball State, like you got to take that with a grain of salt. Linebacker, again, continuing that theme, 3 new additions in the portal. I wouldn't say real star power there. And then the secondary, like this is just, it's so crazy tracking college football in 2025. They had 10 players in the secondary leaving the portal, brought back 6 new guys. So just a lot of new pieces there. But credit, what Purdue's put together here. That's not been the biggest struggle. They gave up 31 points to USC, but by and large, they shut out Ball State. They held Southern Illinois under 20 points. So, like, that's the side of the offense, side of the football team they feel better about, but really up and down the board. I think they looked at last year's defense and just said, we're throwing out the entire defense. Like, we're starting over. We're going to free agency and we're just bringing in whole new, like, start over, and it's better. Like, it's not great. Again, it's 70th in the country right now in SP plus, but it is better than what Notre Dame saw last year when we put up 66 points.
Okay, with that, let's get into some score predictions. Currently, Notre Dame has a 93% win probability in this game, 26.5 point favorites, or about 39-13 victors with an over under 52.5. I think this is a good opportunity for Notre Dame's offense. Purdue's defense is the better side of the ball, but not necessarily good, as we mentioned. They've been susceptible to some big plays in the passing game. I think this is an opportunity for CJ Carr to really light them up and really show that the passing game for Notre Dame has taken a step. And then once we establish that, then I think we hopefully start to see some big plays from Jeremiah Love in the running game as well. For defense, I expect this to be improved, but not perfect. Purdue's offense is obviously abysmal, as Brett went through. So I don't expect them to I don't expect them to put up many points when it's a meaningful time of the game. I expect them to get some points in garbage time. So all this leads me to a score prediction of 46 to, I would say, 20. So we just narrowly missed the beating the spread, but very close. And as I mentioned, some of those points that Purdue is getting will be coming in garbage time. So defense plays better, but not perfect. And the score makes it look like they gave up more points than they really did because some of those were after the game was already out of hand.
This is one last year. If you play it back, Notre Dame came into this after losing to NIU. We were 1-1. Purdue is 1-0. They really struggled in 2023, but they thought they had found their quarterback in Hudson Card. We were only 10.5 point favorites when we played Purdue a year ago. Pretty crazy to think that that game was the start of Notre Dame running the table, winning at 66-7, kind of saying, "Hey, we're back." And of course Purdue stunk last year, and really the train tracks fell off, and I think everyone realized like that should have never been a 10.5 point spread. But if you're Purdue and you're their athletic coordinator, athletic director, you just got to be thinking like, how can I get Notre Dame when they are not pissed off coming after a really bad loss? And so I think it's going to be similar again, where it's a very motivated Marcus Freeman, it's a very motivated coaching staff, a very motivated defense. I don't think we're letting the gas off on this one. Like I think this team knows from here on out every single game is really a playoff, and they've got to win the eye test. And so I've got Notre Dame winning this one big. I've got it 45-10. I think really similar, Mike, to your prediction, but I don't see us letting the gas off as the game goes on, just because I think this is such a big motivational moment here for the team to be locked in, similar to what we saw last year. I wouldn't be surprised, like if we get hot early, I wouldn't be surprised to see us run the score up again, because I just think this needs to be a reset moment for Freeman. And it feels eerily similar to last year coming off of that NIU game. And really, Purdue was the start of the run to the championship game. I'm not going that far yet. I think we got to see a lot more football to say Notre Dame is, taking this as the first data point to go, run it back to a title game. But I do think this is a turn the page moment for Freeman here in a big win, 45-10. So with that, we'll wrap up our preview show, and hopefully we're coming back talking about a game that's in the win column come Sunday. But until then, go Irish and beat Boilermakers.
Irish beat Boilermakers.